an estimated 850,000 attended the parade yesterday, and they did it the smart way. They did the trophy celebration first instead of last because there would have been a lot more slurring of the speeches if they would have done the celebration, as we often see, after the 2-hour procession. And, I mean, they had a keg.
They knew their team.
They had a keg on the stage.
Right.
There were red cups everywhere, but everybody seemed to be pretty much under control during the trophy celebration, and the areas of the stadium that were open were full. The full stadium wasn't open, but what was open was full. 850,000. They were thinking maybe up to 1 million, but 850,000 is pretty damn impressive for the second Super Bowl win for the Seattle Seahawks. Here's a little Sam Darnold. I want to hear what he has to say about his first season in Seattle because I have a very important Sam Darnold point. I want to do some Sam Darnold deflecting on the other side of Sam Darnold talking about the 2025 campaign.
Yeah, I just want to say I've talked a lot this last week about belief. A lot of people, didn't believe in me, but it didn't matter because the ones that are close believed in me, including y'all. I appreciate y'all so much. That short list also includes Jody Allen, John Schneider, Mike McDonald, man. I appreciate the belief y'all had in me for signing me this past year. And last but certainly not least, these players, man, for believing in me.
Hey, Bud Light got their money's worth sponsoring that thing yesterday. We had Bud Light chains. There was a Bud Light keg. They're carrying around Bud Lights. They're pouring the beer from the keg into the Bud Light can that they had just drained instead of the red cup.
Those are pros right there.
Bud Light
pros.
everywhere. Bud Light everywhere for the Seattle Seahawks. All right, so when I was living in Pittsburgh in the early 90s, I was working with a friend of mine who was a big Steelers fan, and we used to argue all the time about the Steelers and the Vikings, and he emailed me yesterday, how do you feel about Sam Darnold winning the Super Bowl this year? and
You're not going to Sam Darnold, eh?
My first thought was, if he would have stayed in Minnesota, it's not like the Vikings were going to win the Super Bowl. He wasn't the difference between the Vikings winning the Super Bowl and not winning the Super Bowl. He went to the right place at the right time with the right group of teammates, the right coaching staff. Everything fell together just right for Sam Darnold. But my response to my friend was I turned it back around on him. How do you feel about signing Aaron Rodgers and not Sam Darnold when both guys were available?
You're funny.
That applies to the Raiders. It applies to the Steelers, right? It applies to the Colts, who signed Daniel Jones, who was great until he got injured, but he's got a history of injury. You can't act like you're surprised that Daniel Jones got injured. That was one of the big knocks on him. He gets injured, and boom, after he's got the stress fracture in one foot, there goes the other Achilles tendon, and he's done for the year. Sam Darnold's been durable. So there were multiple teams, even the Jets, although, that would have been sitcom-worthy if the Jets had tried to bring him back.
It really would have been.
But any of the teams looking for starting quarterbacks last year. There's a reason the Seahawks got him, Chris, for 3 years, $100.5 million.
Right.
$33.5 million per year, half the market. No one else was out there trying to get him.
No, everybody was, worried about how it would look. How does it look when we sign the guy that, has kind of been the career journeyman, and I don't want to say a bust, but hasn't lived up to the third pick of the draft, and, had a good year in Minnesota, but was that a little bit of a flash in the pan? Because the way the year ended at the end of the season, it wasn't good. And I think everybody kind of just remembered that Sam Darnold. And that's where it wasn't fair, where we discussed a million times right at the end of last year and last offseason where we went, hey, Week 18, Detroit, he missed some plays. The wild card game, for whatever reason, people still blamed him, and it was like, no. The Rams kicked the shit out of them in all phases. It was, I don't care who played quarterback that day. It wasn't going to work. So that's where I think, again, we know perception becomes reality a little bit, and especially at the quarterback position. And teams get scared because, is our fan base going to like this? Are we going to be able to frame our team around this guy where people don't believe? And I think he had a little bit of that aspect or aura around him, that it was, kind of just one of those one-year wonder type of things. He was a one-hit wonder. But I will sit here today and still say, I think the Vikings would have been better with Sam Darnold. That's for sure. I do. Yeah, they would have been better this year. Do I think they would have gotten the playoffs? Yes. Do they think they could have been a dangerous team? Yeah, I do. Of course, I think all of that. But I think also, to your point, both things can be true, where Seattle was a better spot for him. Seattle didn't play a game the same way the Minnesota does, where they drop back all the time and they're going, wait, really, we play where our quarterback has to throw for 300 yards and 3 touchdowns. That's how we win games. And he wasn't asked to do that in Seattle. And then he had a common friend to bridge the gap in a Clint Kubiak, right? To at least soothe over the people in the organization to go, hey, I was with Sam. Sam's got some stuff here. Sam fits my offense, blah, blah, blah. And that makes it happen. And then, of course, all the belief in after that. And that's why it's one of the great stories of football here in recent history.
All right, so let's turn it around.
Yeah.
Let's apply a little twist here.
Okay, cool.
When Clint Kubiak arrived in Seattle last year, he said the presence of Geno Smith was a big draw.
Right.
Let's say that in an alternate reality, Geno Smith, who was in the last year of his 3-year deal that he did with Seattle after he became the effective replacement to Russell Wilson, he had a high cap number, he had leverage, and he used it.
Right.
And he overplayed his hand, and the Seahawks said, no, we're not doing this, we're going to trade you to the Raiders. Let's say that the Seahawks had kept Geno Smith.
Yeah.
He won 10 games in 2024. They still have the rest of the team in place. Do they, in your estimation, make it to the Super Bowl and win it if Geno Smith had not been traded?
I'm gonna say no. I'm going to say no. Do I think that maybe they would have been a playoff football team with Geno Smith? Yes, right? I do think that. But I do think Sam Darnold fit the system as far as Clint Kubiak and that. And then the other thing is where, again, and maybe he would have adjusted. But the one thing that would scare me as Geno compared to Sam, that Sam really got down the stretch, was he realized, like, wait, I got to stop forcing balls into windows. My team's really good. If I just don't turn it over, we can almost beat anybody. Geno's a little more confident in his arm. Geno's got a big-time arm. So he kind of, as we saw this year, I mean, one of the problems with the Raiders is there was no downfield throw he didn't like. He was going to try to squeeze it in there. So that's where I go, I think Geno would have kept slinging it, and to a point to where maybe it would have hurt the football team, and that's maybe where I give Sam Darnold the advantage there.
They say defense wins championships, and it reminded me of the Super Bowl that was last played at Levi's Stadium, where Brock Osweiler could have quarterbacked the Broncos that day against the Panthers, and the Broncos would have won, but Osweiler wouldn't have gotten them to that game.
Right.
I don't think Geno Smith gets them to that game. Geno Smith would have won the Super Bowl on Sunday against the Patriots, but he wouldn't have gotten them there. And it all goes back to that key moment, the Thursday night in December, Week 16, the win over the Rams. That was what changed everything. That's what set the table for the Seahawks to be the number 1 seed.
Yeah.
And you take that game out of the mix, we're probably talking about the Rams right now, winning their second Super Bowl in 5 years.
Let's further that. Was there ever a bigger play or a weirder play that dictated the NFL season than the lateral 2-point conversion? Thank God Zach Charbonnet picked it up in the end zone. And then we line up for the kickoff, and then 3:45's like, actually, hold on, don't kick it off. That was a 2-point conversion. I mean, you think about, this is how crazy the year was, because the year was crazy. I mean, let's not forget that. It was an awesome year. I mean, we came in on a lot of Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Mondays, like, holy shit, these games yesterday, they were unbelievable. It was unreal, and that was one of those on a Thursday night. And for that type of year, for that type of play, to kind of dictate who's the number 1 seed in the NFC, yeah, it's pretty incredible that was the play that kind of, got them back on even playing field. And then, of course, they took advantage and won it. But it's just crazy when you think about it and how close the ball or whatever it is to winning, losing, whatever it is in the NFL.
Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.